Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this great email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy. He is 44 years old, and he shares his story starting from when he was a little kid up until present day of what led him in the path to becoming the very respectable, take charge alpha male that he is today. And I mean that in the most positive way I possibly can. An alpha and a leader in terms of his family, his wife, friends, everything. How this guy really is a great example of an old school type of guy that we need plenty of in this world. And there's hope this is how things could be one day with the right coaching and mentorship. You're going to see how he met, how early on, how he was with his family, how he had his uncles that really helped really give him the great advice and leadership and counsel to become where he was because his dad wasn't in the picture. And then how early on he developed some very good skills that he needed in life. How he met the gal, became his wife, who was very traditional, and all the positive qualities that you want to have in a girl. How he handles things, and his journey where he saw one opportunity after another and took it. How he invested money early on, all these things. And it's really, really good story to hear for guys out there that like to hear success stories, to see it can be done. And I really enjoyed doing this. Now, as you can see, this is a long giant video, and this is actually part 1 of part 2 for this guy's journey. But for you guys that really enjoy long stories, success stories, and see and hear how guys do it and make things happen, I think you guys will really enjoy this. And I might add, you're going to see he'll really get into details about his dynamics in the relationship with his wife and how she's loyal, loving, and all that, and she, by him behaving like the traditional positive alpha male father, she trusts him to lead the relationship and all that, and they got a great thing going, which we need more of in this fucked up world here. So definitely grab your drink of choice, some popcorn. It's time for you to enjoy yourself and listen to this long story. It's really, really good. He says, "Hello SSM. Welcome to my former state of Florida. I'm sure when you see how the states in the north will be covered in snow, you'll be glad you're enjoying the nice, cool, sunny days. I already see the forecast, how it is in Massachusetts right now, and I'm seeing in the upper 20s at night, so yes, I do have a smile on my face. I've been contemplating writing my story for about 6 months now, and finally decided to send it in. English is my second language, so bear with me. Bro, you write this almost like English is your first language, so you're doing pretty good. I don't know if it will make the cut, but if it doesn't, that is okay. For the sake of the story, I will not be using real names. I hope my story serves your viewers well, so here I go. My name is Eli. I am 44 years old and was born in Central America, raised by a single mother and my grandma. Even though I was raised by these two women, I wasn't raised to be a soft soy boy to cater to women. In my culture, the roles of both men and women are still taught and expect both sides to stick and promote those roles. However, I had 2 male role models that play a very important role in giving me the information from a male perspective. That is how I was raised prior to coming to the USA. Well, thank God you had those role models, and I know they're going to be his uncles. And let me tell you, they're some old school uncles. And he says here, my life in my home country. My father left us when I was 2 years old. I live with my mother, 5 siblings, and my grandma from my mother's side. Wow, that's a lot of kids. My mother took the role of the man in the house and went to work, and my grandma took the role of the mother. When I was a bit older, I saw other kids that had dads that lived with them. In my mind, I asked my mom why I don't have a dad like my friends. Using simple words, easy for a child to understand, she said that he has another house far away. When I was 7 years old going to first grade, I asked her again why Dad hadn't come home. Poor kid. She said to me that he had another family, has a wife and kids with her. I never heard from my mother ever mention my father at all after that. She never talked bad about him, never told me anything negative about him. He was never brought up in conversations. Every time that there was a parent-teacher conference in school, I would see my classmates attending their conference with my mom and dad. I would lie to my classmates and tell them that both my mother and father had to work, and that is why I'm here with my grandma. I didn't want to tell them that I didn't have a dad. Just the thought of telling them I don't have a dad was embarrassing. When I was in the 4th grade, he showed up to the house while I was at school. So 4th grade, you're probably about 9 or 10, so it's been about 7, 8 years, and this dude shows up. As I was walking home, my older brother came out to meet me and said, "Guess who's home?" He said, "Dad." remember turning around, went to the soccer field, and played football until sundown, hoping he would get tired of waiting. That's exactly what happened. By the time I got home, he was gone. That was the only time he attempted to talk to me, but I had two uncles from my mom's side who were my male role models growing up. So already at 9 or 10 years old, you can see this guy doesn't put up with any bullshit. He's like, F you, Dad, I'm not coming home. I'll be playing soccer until I fall down before I come over and give you the attention, leaving me, you motherfucker. You're going to see through the story that him at 9 or 10 years old is exactly who he is decades later. One of my uncles would take me to work from time to time. He was an electrician. The other uncle was the CEO of a road construction company. He would take me to the shop to learn to be a diesel mechanic. I worked in all the heavy equipment vehicles. I would work during the day and go to school at night. They taught me how to work, the value of work, to never give up, to have a competitive spirit, and to always go for what I want in life. Both uncles would speak to me about women, female nature, manipulation tactics, and not to be soft with women. When it came to conversations about sex, they would tell me something along the lines of, a pair of titties have more pull than a dump truck. That's a great line. So, see guys, even though he's being raised by mom and grandma who are doing the best they can, he's got the two uncles on the mom's side, male role models, helping out. And that's awesome. And they are good ones. Taking him to work, teaching him things, not just in terms of a trade and skills, but also about female nature and other things. This is what all boys need. A lot of men make stupid mistakes like not seeing women's flaws because we are caught up in getting laid. Be a man and don't let any women walk on you because they will do it if you don't put them in check as soon as they step out of line. I've been saying this since day one. Never let them raise their voice at you. That is a sign of disrespect. My grandma, on the other hand, will teach us how to pick a good woman and what the role of men and women are in the house. Well, the feminists would lose their shit over what he just said about that. So I like your grandma. One day, my older brother grabbed his plate after eating and went to the kitchen and was washing his plate. My grandma scolded him and told him to put that plate down and go outside and work in the yard, that men don't belong in the kitchen, and that what he was doing was the job of the woman. She then called my sister and told her what her job was. The feminists will be losing their shit again. Well, Grandma, I cook and I do my goddamn dishes because who else is going to do them? But I think Grandma would give me a pass. She would make our sisters wash our clothes, polish our school shoes every night. She taught them how to cook, bake, and clean the house. And when they didn't do a good job cleaning the house, she would say something like, "It is unacceptable that the house is dirty with so many women living here." Your grandma rocks. My three sisters kept that house spotless. Nothing was out of place. My grandma hated a messy house. She would also tell them, "I don't want to see your mom coming home from work and go to the kitchen to cook. You better have her plate ready when she gets home." I remember my oldest sister asking Mom if she was hungry. She got her plate and put it on the table. She always told us what the man's job is and what the woman's job is. She hated seeing boys in the kitchen, but all manual labor was given to us boys. That is how I was raised. When I turned 16, I had a contract to play football for the best club in my country league. To be selected for a professional club, you must be a top-notch footballer. I felt that my competitive nature and never giving up paid off. Yes, exactly. And that's great that your uncles taught you that. That's the problem here in this country. It's been going on for a while with all these participation trophies and things like that. Everybody gets a prize no matter what. That diminishes the competitive spirit, knowing, hey, no matter what, I'm always going to get a trophy. That's ridiculous. These are lessons that kids need to learn the right way, like here early on. If you don't, there's only one winner in the competition, and if you lose, doesn't mean that you're a loser, but you're not getting a fucking trophy. And that will have an effect later on in life to be competitive. That's what, I'm not going to get into that, but you get my point. And then our papers to come to the USA finally arrived. I wanted to stay and do what every boy wants to do, play football for a professional club. But my mom said I would have better and more opportunities in the USA, so we had to terminate the contract and move to the United States. Well, I'm sure that was hard, my man, but your mom was right. She was looking out for you. This is my crazy life in Miami. Oh, I'm sure it was, young man in Miami. We, my mom and siblings and grandma, moved to Miami in November that year, and I was 16 years old. I had a hard time adjusting to the country and making friends because I didn't know English. However, I was able to pick it up in 8 months and it made a huge difference because I finally felt that I could get out of the house and go make friends at the park near our house where a bunch of guys would play basketball. Well, although you didn't speak English when you first arrived, this is obviously, we're close in age. I'm 45, you're 44. So when you arrived at 16, I'm guessing this is probably 1995, 1996. Plenty of people speak Spanish in Miami, but I get you. When I turned 17, I met a woman who will become my wife. Her name was Elizabeth. She was a friend of one of the girls I hung out with. She introduced me to her. She was what I call an American woman. She was 5'4", white girl who wore glasses, slim, about 125, blonde hair, hazel eyes, curvy, and very feminine. She was a nice gal, different from the other girls I met at school. She was well-spoken, dressed conservatively, very intelligent and smart, no piercings, didn't like parties, didn't drinking, nor the idea of clubbing when she gets older. I like her very much. In my opinion, she was boring and nerdy, not my type. You're 17. Of course, you want the wild girls, and Miami has no shortage of wild girls, even back then. I would talk to her, but didn't really give her much attention since she was boring, in my opinion. She was a friend in my eyes. At the age of 18 and 19, I partied hard and went to club in South Beach and many parties my friends had at their houses. I didn't have a girlfriend because I honestly didn't need to. I was 5'9", in great shape. I had the body of an athlete, 170 pounds, and a 31-inch waist. I was not 6 feet tall like my friends were, but women found me attractive. My nice light tan color was appealing to women for some reason, and I was good at talking to women. I can say I had game. My mother often told me, "You know how to hypnotize women with your speeches. You're worse than a politician." I also had a helper that got me some women too. I had a nice 1993 manual transmission Mustang with ground effects, loud stereo, and neon lights under the car. Mustangs rock, my man. I didn't add any of those things to the car. I bought it like that. Sometimes my friends and I would go to the clubs in different cars because they got off work late and couldn't carpool. Every time we left the club, the girls liked to ride in my car. That thing was fast, which would get me into trouble later in my life. At the time, I was working at a car dealership. I would go into the auto auctions with the owner. If you've been to an auto auction, you only have a couple of minutes to inspect the car because there are more people wanting to look at the same car. So you had to make a decision pretty quickly. You don't have all day. My job was to inspect the car and give him the okay or not. Working as a mechanic in those diesel engine vehicles back in my home country paid off. Sweet, man. Thank your uncles once again, gave you this skill so at a young age you can have a skill that's in demand. That is how I got my Mustang. Whoever pimped it up spent a lot of money on it just to have it repoed. In my conversations with Elizabeth becomes his future wife, guys, I would tell her of my party activities to get her to come with us. But she never went because she always said that lifestyle isn't hers. Well, good for her for not doing for sticking to her guns and doing what she wanted to do. And that scene wasn't for her, so that's it. She would do nice things for me and buy me little gifts from time to time. She liked you, dude. But I never reciprocated it. I knew she liked me. I could tell. Her face would light up when we talked. When my best friend moved to Atlanta, I helped him with the move. I put some things that could fit in the car and drove to Atlanta and hung out with him for a couple days. On the way back home, I was driving 110 miles an hour at I-95. I'm now familiar with that trek down from Georgia to Florida, and I can picture you hauling ass down there. And I got pulled over. My radar detector didn't work for shit. In Georgia, any speed over 100 miles an hour was criminal speeding and mandatory jail. Oh, great. That's great for you at 17, 18 years old. When the cops saw me driving, my record was clean. He told me he was going to give me a break. He was going to write on the ticket that I was going 99 miles per hour so he wouldn't take me to jail. The ticket was for, wait for it guys, $638. So this is like, I don't know, let me think here. I don't know, 99? No. This is the late 90s, I'm guessing. And so you're only 18 years old. That's a lot of money to pay that age. But you know what? That's better than going dragged off to the slammer. I'll never forget that amount. Since I was from Florida, he told me to follow him to the court and pay. I didn't have all the money to pay for the ticket, so I called my best friend to lend me the money. I told him to send me the money via Western Union. He told me, "No, man, we'll give you the money personally and tell you in your face you are a fucking idiot for getting caught." Biggest ticket. I only got one gigantic ticket in my life, man. It was about the same time period, spring of 1997. I was hauling ass to work, probably driving about 100 miles an hour, and I finally got caught. Other times I got caught, and the cops would always let me up because I was very polite and respectful to the police officers and saying I was late for work. No, not this cop. This guy gave me like a almost $400 ticket, and at 19 years old, $400 in 1997, that was a lot of money to me back then, big time. It pissed me off now, and I never got a ticket again since then. You learn your lesson. So he drove 4 long hours to get me. When he got there, he didn't have his wallet. The cop told him, "You drove all the way here without a license? You can't leave either." In a laughing way, I said to him, "Who's more of an idiot now, me for driving 110 or you for driving 4 hours without a wallet to court full of cops?" If you're still friends with that dude to this day, I'd be bringing that up every once in a while. I didn't want to call my mom. She'd be mad as hell. Yeah, these young guys don't want to mess with their Latina mamas. They'll throw the shoe at them or whatever the stereotype is. I had to say it. You all know what I'm talking about here. Maybe that's a grandma thing, throwing the shoe. I called my friend with benefits that I had. Her name was Lisa. I really liked this gal. She was hot. I think what I liked was the benefit part of it. She was mad and told me all kinds of things and told me to figure it out on my own. The last person on the list was Elizabeth, so I called her. I told her what happened, and she sent me a money order of $500. I paid for the damn ticket and drove my friend back to Atlanta, got his wallet, then headed back to the court to get his car. He went home and headed back down I-95. I was driving down on the Florida Turnpike going 90 miles an hour in the 55. Dude, did you not learn enough from the giant-ass ticket? I got pulled over again. I'm not going to smack you because you know why? You got smacked with the ticket. It was around 2 o'clock in the morning. I was trying to make it home so I could get some sleep, then go to work the next day. I got my ticket and my license was suspended. That weekend, I didn't want to go out. I was mad, sad, and depressed. What the hell? I told my friends I didn't feel like going out. I decided to stay home instead and reflect on what the hell I'm doing with my life. Yeah, that'll teach you some things. And also I might add that big giant bill really hurt your bank account. And that's why they're big bills. Then Elizabeth called me. She came and picked me up, went to eat at Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning. She told me that I can't keep doing this, that I would end up in jail or killed, that the party life isn't as good or as safe as people think because nothing good happens after midnight. Young Elizabeth is wise beyond her years. This is an example, guys, where the rare traditional good girl, and there are some left, believe it or not, even in today's crazy world, but they're very rare. It's good to have for young guys that are, kind of like here. This guy's tremendous potential, good guy, but he's obviously doing what young boys do. That's when it's helpful. And obviously this girl has the draw to the bad boy here. That was the first time I kissed her. We talked all night till 6 o'clock in the morning. I still remember seeing the sun coming up. After that conversation, I started to develop feelings for her, but I didn't want to tell her. I paid her the $500 back and thanked her for being there for me when I needed help. When she had to work that weekend, I would go to the clubs, but when she was off, I would go out with her. Quick thing, would she have given you $500 if she didn't really like you back then? If you were just a friend, or would she tell you to pretty much figure it out? I'd still like to know that. She didn't know I had a friends with benefits. On Wednesday, I don't know what came over me, and suddenly I had a guilty feeling. I remember saying to myself, I'm lying to Elizabeth. One day I will get caught and it won't be good. I then remembered the word of my uncles and grandmother about how to spot a good woman and what makes a woman a good woman. Well, probably according to Grandma, she cleans and cooks for the damn house. I thought about those words for the rest of the week. Lisa was the party girl who's hot, funny, has good charisma, but was not wife material. You're damn right about that. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. And you're lucky you didn't get Lisa and your other ladies, I'm saying that in air quotes, pregnant, my man. Thank God you took care of yourself. Otherwise, your grandma would throw the fucking shoe at you again. She was good for fun, nothing more. Elizabeth was the total opposite. Literally total opposite. I'd found a good woman. I knew I had to stop the clubbing, drinking, smoking, and doing all those things if I wanted to be with her. Besides abandoning those bad habits is good, two birds with one shot right. Yeah, a lot of guys might say, oh, well, you got pee-whipped because of Elizabeth. No, I got no problem when you have a good gal, and they're hard to find, a traditional gal, and they help you move past the bad habits. It's when a gal tries to get move past the good things like your hobbies and your passions and your friends. That's a different ballgame. But if she's helping you get, encouraging you to grow up, and I mean in a positive way, then that's okay, in my opinion. Besides abandoning those bad habits is good, two birds with one shot, right? That was a problem. I had to leave the crazy party life behind and honestly didn't want to. When Saturday night came, I made my decision. I was going to tell Lisa I had a girlfriend, which I didn't, and that I couldn't continue the game we had. So I did. I asked Elizabeth if she was interested in beginning a relationship and see where it takes us. She jumped and hugged me and told me, of course. Duh, of course she would. And I'm sure Lisa had no problem finding a replacement for you, even though you were such a charming young lad back then. My dating life with Elizabeth. And don't worry, guys, this story is long, as you can see, and it's 2 parts. But it's going to build up to this guy's whole life, how this guy has led the life in a way that it's rare. And I hope all you guys can lead this type of life, particularly you family guys who want families and all that. This is a very good story. And like I said in the beginning, and of course, his journey. We started dating formally as a couple when I was 20 years old and she was 18. We began to know each other pretty much better. First thing, she was a child number 9 of 10. Oh my God. I grew up with me and my sister. And that was enough noise for me. I can't imagine 10 goddamn kids. Jesus. She grew up in an intact home, both mom and dad at home. Her father was a soft-spoken, humble man, but not be afraid to speak his mind when needed. He was a chef. If he was a chef, I guarantee you he had no problem speaking his mind. You ever work in a kitchen, guys, in a restaurant? Chefs are... The stereotype about the yelling and screaming mean fucking chef is dead on here. I worked in restaurants throughout high school and college. Her mother was a math professor at university. They were a religious church-going family with traditional values and morals. Jackpot. None of them cursed or nor participated in worldly things, as they would say from time to time. Even though I was the son of the devil, as her mom would jokingly say sometimes, she had no problem with me dating her daughter. That of us are sinners, and all of us have potential to change. I guess she knew about me because Elizabeth would tell them about me. Oh, I'm sure they knew all about you for a very long time from their daughter Elizabeth until you started dating and became official. And I'm sure her mama liked helping change you for the better. They're a very close family. Her dad would have a one-on-one conversation with each kid just to have a father and son, or daughter time. They would have family get-togethers each month. All the married kids with their spouses and their kids will attend. Sometimes they can form an entire battalion with the number of people that gather for those activities. I noticed Elizabeth had a great relationship with her father and mother. I didn't see any trauma in her, nor insecurities. So you guys, you know what I say all the time, your relationship guys, not only do you pay attention and observe all these things about her, but also her family. Is her family happy and loving and kind and supportive, have each other's backs? Do mom and dad love each other? Does the girl have a good relationship with not just her dad, but her mom? If the answer is to yes, all these things, that's a good sign. On the other hand, there's always drama and fighting and carrying on and fighting with the dad, fighting with the mom and all this shit. Run. But this is a good situation. Let's see here. She, as in his future wife, was not a materialistic woman. Very confident in herself, didn't like to wear a lot of makeup. Well, good. So many girls wearing enough makeup, they look like Ronald McDonald. She was very organized and very smart. The first date we had as a couple was to a restaurant in South Beach. We parked the car and walked the famous street Collins Avenue where all the restaurants and bars and clubs are. We were just looking at the menu, and they had a display outside restaurants, and kept walking until she saw a menu she liked. Well, you should have picked the place, but that's okay. We went in and sat down. We ordered sodas. When they brought the menu, there were no prices listed. Elizabeth said, "This place must be expensive." If you want, we can leave. We don't have to eat here. Me, trying not to be embarrassed, said, don't worry, I got it. She even said, are you sure? We can leave. I'm like, okay. We haven't ordered the food. We can go. And I said, no, don't worry, I got it. Well, I like that about her. She actually cares about you spending a whole shitload of money on her because you know what the fucking prices are. And if there are any prices there, I guarantee it's expensive. When the bill came, my heart sank. She wanted to see the bill, but I didn't want her to see it. The damn bill was almost $400. That was back in 2000. What'd I tell you? There's no prices. If you have to ask, you can't afford it. That type of line there. $400 in 2000. You're probably 21 years. I don't know. You're right around 21 years old. That's a lot of money. But then again, you say South Beach. Shit, even then it was inflation land. I had the money to pay the bill, but didn't want to blow it like that. I was making $7.50 an hour. There you go. I remember saying in my head how many hours I have to work to make $400 after taxes. Damn it. She wanted to see the bill, but I refused. She said that let me pay the tip to help you with the bill, so she did. What? A close to an $80 tip? She had to work a lot of hours too for that. The food was good, but damn, is that much for some damn steak? I remember saying in my head, I will never set foot in that place ever again. We sat at the beach looking at the sunset and talked about what were our plans for our lives, school, career, plans, goals, dreams, etc. She told me she wanted to go to medical school and be a doctor, but couldn't afford to go. Her parents didn't have the money because they spent on their 8 kids for crying out loud. I thought they had 10 kids. I thought she was 9 to 10. Or maybe, she's one of 9. Okay, my bad. 8 other kids. I told her I wanted to be an electrical engineer since I worked with my uncle when I was a kid. I had a pretty good idea how things worked in that field. She didn't care about house sizes, cars, name brand clothing, jewelry, none of that. Dude, you found a good one. Now some guys are like, ha ha, until he puts a ring on her finger, then she'll care about the big houses and all that. Well, yes, that can happen, but not in this story. She was a down-to-earth type of gal. I spent a lot of time getting to know her. I did not want to make. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Good. Be thorough. Exactly. I didn't want to make those stupid mistakes that my uncle told me that some men tend to make, just to get laid. I then realized I was treating her very different than the other women I hung out with. I treated her with respect, didn't curse in front of her, and opened the doors for her. I later concluded this: if you dress, behave, and talk like a hoe, you'll be treated like a hoe. If you dress modest, behave like a lady, and talk like a lady, you'll be treated like a lady. Right. Exactly. Now, I don't want you changing things about your personality just to make her happy and like you more, like not cursing. If you curse, but fair enough. But yes, a lot of women complain. There are no gentlemen. Where are the gentlemen? Okay, we'll be gentlemen if you start acting like a fucking lady. Not a whole lot of ladies anymore. Therefore, not a whole lot of gentlemen. And I might add, typically when men act like gentlemen, guess what? They get shit on. I felt she earned that respect. I wanted to have sex with her, but in my head I was saying, she's too innocent. I wouldn't be fair to her. I don't think she's that innocent, my man. Guys are laughing all over the world at that line. This is the first woman I feel bad for wanting to have sex with, knowing the kind of animal I am. Smack! You're going down nice guy central, my man. That mentality, but you were young. But I am a man, and eventually we all want sex. I tried in 2 occasions, but did not succeed, so I dropped her for a while. After 8 months of dating, we did the thing, and she learned she had no body. You waited 8 months to hook up with her? Smack! Now, I know she had all the qualities you liked, and that on one hand, she wasn't racing to the sack like your hoe bag Lisa and all that. That's great and all, but 8 months? I don't care how great the girl is. There's no way in hell I would be waiting 8 weeks. After 8 months of dating, we did the thing and learned she had no. I said she had no body. He skipped onto the next paragraph here. She had no body count. I was her first guy. Jackpot. Okay, good. You redeemed it a little bit. I remember feeling great knowing no one else has touched her. I always wore protection every time. I had SCX before her, but this time I wanted to. I know smack, just one please. After we did it, she went home. What I'm going to say next was something she kept to herself until the day we got married. She said, I went home and cried and thought, what have I done? He might leave me just like he did with the other girls. After 8 months, at the very least, he's going to get round 2 and 3 out of this. He got what he wanted. If I push the issue, he will walk away. I'm going to continue to be the same me. I'm not going to tell him. He now has an obligation with me, and hopefully he sees my value. We dated for 2 years. After getting my associate's degree, I moved to Pensacola, Florida to go to college there. I didn't want to go to those private universities. They were too expensive. Very smart, my man. And that doesn't compare to what they are now. She told me she wanted to go with me. I said, why not? We got an apartment and moved in together. 6 months after moving in together, I proposed to her. I know, a huge smack. Smack! Actually said a huge Hulk smack. Yes, way too goddamn young. But at least you're banking on the fact that this girl has demonstrated through her actions that she's a traditional gal, good values, no body count, her family's great, all these things. So it was a calculated risk. Now he gets on to his early married life. And you're going to see more how these things go in a positive way for this guy. And how I wish things were more like this, more widespread. He says, one afternoon I came in from work, and after we had dinner, I told her I wanted to marry her. In my culture, people still value marriage. That weekend, we went to the mall to look for wedding rings. She found the one that she liked at JCPenney. The ring cost me $275. That is the one she picked. Mine was $75. The damn speeding ticket and the restaurant bill was more than our rings. I asked her when she wanted to get married. She said on her birthday, which was 7 months away. I said, that's too close. Good, bro. Good. We need more time to prepare everything. She said, we don't need a huge party. We can have a cheap wedding. Besides, you're buying a house. We don't need a big wedding. The battalion of my family and yours are more than enough. Again, I like this girl. Doesn't need a giant expensive ring. $275. No big wedding. Great. Your risk paid off. Proposing so young. We went to a photographer, but the wedding day was too close. They couldn't book us in. We decided to go to Walmart to buy some solid color bed sheets and some lamps to mimic a studio to take our own photos since we had no friends in this new city. She ironed them, hung them on the wall, stacked a bunch of books on a night table so the camera was level with our faces. We used the Kodak camera, the one you had to take the roll to the lab and have it developed. Yeah, that type of camera. We bought 2 rolls, took a bunch of photos to see which one we were going to use for the wedding announcement. We got wedding invitations from our local business and sent them out just to family members and both of our sides of our best friends. We paid for our own wedding. It cost us $5,000. Cheap wedding with cheap rings. I was 23, she was 21. Dude, the fact that she wasn't going nuts about all this expensive bullshit and everything like that says a lot about her. Absolutely. Yeah, you got married way too young than I'd recommend and many things, but you know what? I'm glad you found this gal. For our honeymoon, we went to Universal Studios for a week. Hey, sounds fun to me. A cheap honeymoon too. Then headed back home, and 2 months later, we put a good chunk of money we've been saving as a down payment to buy our first house. Yes, smart move, my man. Instead of pissing it away on some big-ass, stupid-ass wedding and honeymoon, you did the bare minimum, put the down payment on the house, and you were 23 years old, she's 21. Exactly. That's the smart thing. Good for you. We closed our individual accounts and opened a joint checking account. Smack. You know damn well why you shouldn't do that, but I'm glad, obviously, that you didn't have a problem with that. We were 2 young, broke college students who had little to no money, so I didn't see the problem with having a joint checking account. A year later, our first son was born. Rushing things a bit, my man, but okay, fair enough. Getting my boy in the car seat in the back of the Mustang was a pain in the neck, so we sold the car and a motorcycle and I had to buy a minivan. Motorcycle, Mustang, the 2 holy M's, and then you got the unholy M, a fucking minivan. I know, you had to do what you had to do for your kid, I get you, your baby. How many guys have you seen driving around the minivans looking like their soul has been sucked out of them? Damn, she had a good paying job working at the power plant. She wanted me to go to school full time and finish my electrical engineering degree. And when I was done with it, she was going to quit her job and go to school. That was our plan. I went to school full time and worked as a cashier at a gas station at night. A year later, she got laid off because the plant closed. We decided we were going to use the severance check she got to start our swimming pool business. When the business was going decent, Not a lot of money, but the bills were getting paid. I quit my part-time job to focus on growing the business while going to school at the same time. While in my third years of school, I met a guy who had an appliance repair business. It was just him and his wife. His wife would answer the phone, make the appointment, and he did get the job. And did get the job. I was making over $200K a year. Damn, dude, at that young age. You see how resourceful this guy is and this girl. You know, he early on he learned the skills from his uncles, and he has no fear to put himself out there and go for something bigger at a young age, making this kind of money. That's awesome. He told me I dropped out of college because this would make me more money than my college degree. There's nothing better than being your own boss. He wanted me to work for him since I was fluent in English and Spanish. He wanted to capture the Hispanic market. He offered me $85,000 a year, but he needed me to move to Orlando, Florida. Oh, my bad. The owner, was making $200K a year. Okay, my bad there. But you're going to get paid $85,000 a year around probably 2001, and you're in Florida before, obviously, 20 years later when prices really jumped up because everybody's moving here. That's pretty damn good, my man. That was a difficult decision to make. On the one hand, the pay was good. We had our business and didn't want to lose it after all the work we put into it. We turned it down and kept focusing on the business. Now later, in 2 months, I met a man who needed help installing hurricane shutters for his company. The pay was piecework, but I could make $85,000 a year if I learned it good. He showed me the numbers, how much the jobs pay, the invoices of some of the best installers, and I was hooked. I went home and told Elizabeth. We discussed it and decided to go ahead with the job. I dropped out of college, sold the business, and with the money, I bought a brand new 2005 four-door Tacoma, a trailer, and all the tools I needed to do the job. I was on a mission. This was my chance to make money. Awesome, bro. Good for you. You see opportunities, you go for it. A lot of guys are just too chicken shit to do that, or too chicken shit to pick up and move and go to someplace else with better options. And what I like here is this guy has the support and love of his wife. Now, I'm going to cut this off here because it's getting very long. And the next part, we're going to get into his journey in terms of success, his adventures, some of the things that happened along the way, and more about his marriage and children, and what I admire about this guy and like to see, which is rare, which I hope more and more guys will be like. So this is not your drama-filled stories I told in the beginning, but it's a very good one about a traditional alpha male making something of himself, finding a good one, and seeing the life they have together, what could be possible in today's world. One can hope and see how this thing comes into present day. It's a good one. So stay tuned in a few hours and I'll have part 2 of this guy's story.